Hi, I'm Mitch Mitchell, and on Monday night, I actually gave a presentation via phone for an organization of business coaches. It's called the Profit Lounge, and my friend Steve Bork put it together, and so I basically gave the presentation. He broke in, gave comments every once in a while, asked some questions, had other people ask some questions, and it was a pretty cool time. The thing is that when I got to my final part, I was 3 points away, just 3 points away from finishing when he said, well, okay, we don't have any more time. And I'm thinking, well, come on, I'm about to finish up. So what I decided to do is I am going to give my entire finale here right now. You know, I talk about blogging a lot. If you visit my I'm Just Sharing blog, you will see I give tons of tips about blogging and writing and other social media things. I even am going to link to a clip that I did, I think it's almost 5 years ago at this point. It may even be 5 years ago, about business blogging, where I talked about a few things. But I didn't talk about the finale. I think I mentioned one thing that was in my finale, and therefore this is what I'm going to cover now. So take out your pens or just look down below later on, because I will put it down below the few things I talked about. So the finale of my presentation was, how do you do a business blog and should you have one? So this is what the topic was. And so I began with the thing where I said you need to be willing to add content on a regular basis. If you're going to have a blog and you're only going to write a post once a year, don't even bother starting. 6 months, don't bother. Every 3 months, don't bother. If you can write a post, believe it or not, only one post a month, you're probably ready to blog. Now, it comes with a caveat. If you're writing a 300 or 400 word post and that's supposed to show your expertise in business and that shows that you have something to say in business, don't bother, because you're going to look like a fool. If you're going to write one post a month, that bad boy better be epic. You better not think about writing anything shorter than 1,500 words. And after you get there, if you can write more, the more you can write in that, the better off you're going to be. First, the search engines like longer posts for some goofy reason. They just do. And two, if you show value to the people who come, then they won't mind that you're only writing once a month. Now, truthfully, I think you should write more often. I try to write a post at least once a week for 3 of my blogs, and the other 2, you know, when I'm kind of in the mood. This is what happens when you have multiple blogs. You get to change up. But for one of the blogs where I write for someone else, I write 2 posts a month. And for another organization, I will write either 1 or 2, depending on if some of the people in the organization send me something that I can add. So that's the first point. You got to be willing to be consistent with your blogging. The second part is that you have to be willing to expand on the realm of what you have to say. You know, a big thing that a lot of people talk about is having a niche blog, and they say just stick with your niche. And that's fine, but here's the deal. Your niche isn't just repeating the same thing over and over and over. And unfortunately, in some vocations, there's not really a ton that you can keep saying about your specific thing. For instance, I write the blog for my accountant, and there's only so much you can write about accounting specifically, at least if you're not an accountant. So I have to diversify. So I talk about taxes, I talk about bookkeeping, I talk about taxes, I talk about healthcare, because if you're a small business, because most of our clients are small businesses, that's something you have to think about. I talk about expenses, I talk about when to buy equipment, I will talk about mortgage, because that's part of it. A lot of small businesses work out of their homes. You get to write off portions of that thing. I expand it. I've been writing her blog for, 3.5 years now? So I'm not an accountant. So everything I write, however, ends up linking back to accounting. I don't put her business link in every single time. It's already on her website. But every once in a while, I will say, hey, you know what? If this is something you need to do, for instance, budgeting. Accountants can do budgeting. If you need someone to pay your bills for you, some accountants actually set up bill paying services to help you out. So you see how that works out? So you have to be willing to expand the realm so that you have a lot to talk about. Then the next part is you can add variety. Blogs don't only have to be words. I mean, if you are more comfortable doing a video, like I'm doing a video today, so when this video is up upload it to YouTube, now I can take code and embed it into a blog post about something. Now I've got words and a video. If you like podcasting, maybe you love that. Maybe there's a lot of people who do that, so maybe you embed a podcast. As long as you write a little something around it, sometimes you write a lot of something around it. But if you write something in there, now you can use those podcasts. So you're doing it for something else. Guest posts. You know, I'm not necessarily as big as some people are in accepting a lot of guest posts. I used to be, and my website was ranked really high. But then I started to run into problems with that. Y'all have heard me gripe about guest posts, in the past. So this is nothing new. You get people who won't come back to answer questions. You get people who give you links that are somewhat dodgy. Sometimes you end up having to re-edit stuff over and over. And it doesn't really, it's not a good use of your time. But, like I said, it will help your SEO to do that type of thing. So you can accept guest posts. You can accept sponsored posts. One of my blogs, that's what I do. They have to pay me, and it ain't cheap. It's not overly expensive, at least I don't think so. But it's not cheap. But still, you can do that if you want to try to get some other content on your site. Or you can do like my accountant. You barter for services. I write for her. She does my accounting. I think that works out pretty nicely. Or you can join like what I call a multiple blogger site. And I don't mean like Huffington Post or Medium. What I'm saying is maybe there's a few people who are in the same industry. Or maybe you have 4 people who are just small business owners who say, you know what, let's get together and let's write one blog on one site and we can link to our own sites. Now, the thing is, if you have everybody writing, you should be able to have more content than if it's just one person. And if you have more content, you have an opportunity for your blog to rank higher. Doesn't mean you don't still get to talk about specific things you do, but as long as it relates to an overall topic that all of you are on, you have a chance to rank well. You can spread it out a little bit. And once again, you can decide, okay, there's 4 of us, for instance, so each one of us has to write at least 1 article a month. And you space it out. So you end up with 4 articles a month. That's not so bad. If someone wants to write more than the others, that's even better. So, there are these options that you can do. Next thing, don't start a blog if you're not going to be able to keep it going. I make this recommendation to anyone who hasn't already started blogging and is wondering if they can write a blog. Not if they can write, but if they can keep up with one. Write 10 articles. Just sit down and write 10 articles. See how long it takes you to write 10 real articles. If they're 300-word articles, for this purpose, it doesn't matter. Write 10 articles. Hopefully they'll be longer, but still, write 10 articles. And see how long it takes you. If it takes you 3 months to write 10 articles, maybe blogging isn't something you really want to do. If you can write 10 articles in a week or 2 weeks, you might be able to do something. And now if you decide to start the blog, you have some articles that you can start with, and you can post date some of those and spread it out so that you don't immediately have to create a blog and start writing content because you already have some content to use. Next, it's better, from my opinion, to have a blog on your own site than to use a free site. I know of WordPress.com. I know of Blogspot.com. I know of Tumblr. I think there's some other sites. I know a lot of people who are just foregoing it and deciding I'm going to blog on Medium or Huffington Post, who has to accept you. Or maybe I'll just blog and put it on Facebook or on LinkedIn. Well, that's not bad for getting other people to read your stuff. But truthfully, you want to help your own website as far as being found for what it is that you do. It's better to have your own content on your site. So you create a blog, put it on your site, and now you just write about your topic so it helps to reinforce what you say that you do for business. That's the best way to go. Doesn't mean that after a while you can't take some of that old content and put it in other places and link back, but you've already gotten the best benefit you can by putting it on your own site. And here's the last one. And in my opinion, this was the one that's going to take more time than the rest, a little bit more effort, but it's going to get you the biggest benefit. You've got to go visit other blogs. You've got to comment on some of those blogs. And you have to be willing to share some of those blogs in social media spaces. It's a great benefit. I have found one that commenting on blogs drives more traffic to my site than anything else. I have found that when you share other people's content on Twitter, which is where I share most content, not only will the people whose content you share respond to it, especially if you can get their Twitter handle on there. But then they're liable to come and see your stuff and share your stuff and comment on your posts. Because there's this nice little quid pro quo. I hope I said that right. But there's this nice thing. People like to do something nice for other people. Now, that's not only the main intention for doing it. One of the realities is that if you show yourself as giving, the universe kind of gives back. And so, that's kind of cool. I share a lot of stuff that I never hear back from people that I've shared. And I go above and beyond by trying to find out, okay, who wrote those articles? So I do that on purpose. If they wrote for like a site called Business Insider, if they wrote for Business Insider, I'm more likely to go find their Twitter handle and use them as the writer than use Business Insider. Business Insider might not like it, but you know what? I don't care. I want to promote the writers because that's what I'm all about. And sometimes I hear from those people, sometimes I don't. But it doesn't matter because other people see that I do it. So if you share, then you're going to get some love back. Anyway, that was the finale of the presentation that I was doing that I didn't get to finish. I got to finish it here. I got to give you the whole thing. I'm going to put down below all the different things that I covered so that then you can come back and watch it in the video. Let me know what you think. And, if you want to hear a little bit more about the rest of the presentation I got this blog called I'm Just Sharing where I've talked about all kinds of things. Just go in and search for blogging or go in and search for social media. Or, who knows, I may be doing a course on this thing one of these days just where I put something together and maybe it'll be a free download or maybe I'll charge a couple of dollars just to charge a couple of dollars. We'll see how it goes. But y'all let me know what you think. I'm Mitch Mitchell. You have a wonderful week.